100% of success is divided in 70% on quality sleep, 25% to good nutrition, and just 5% on training. Because you can train a lot, train hard, train every day, 2, 3 hours, 2 times. But if you don't take care about this, result will not come for sure. It is very important to create a quality relationship with the players so they trust you, because when the players trust you, then everything makes sense. If you don't have players trust, then even your best training will be worthless. After knowledge, work experience is the most important. Through work experience, you gain real knowledge, because everything that looks nice and simple in theory is the opposite in practice. Also, like I said before, social skills are very important, and the coach's ability to adapt to some situation at a certain moment. Many people ask me, is it worth it? Well, I'm 28 years old, and I can say that I have made a lot of sacrifices so far. So there is no stopping, because then all the sacrifice would be in vain. There is no program that will prevent injury, and the risk of injury can only be reduced, but injury cannot completely avoid it. So effective rehabilitation and quality return to field protocol is the future in this job.
So, hi everyone, welcome to Atavari Speaks Football's new episode. And today we have a special guest with us, and his name is Vlade Bendic. And he is an esteemed strength and conditioning coach renowned for his exceptional expertise in optimizing athletic performance. He has plied his trade in different nations, and especially Saudi Arabia, and his proficiency includes GPS analysis, IT skills, sports science, strength training, injury rehabilitation, etc. So, hi Vlade, welcome to this episode. What do you want to say about the same?
Hello, Mr. Tavares. Thank you for your invitation, and it's a pleasure to be your guest today.
So, starting off, just to mention, how did your journey start into becoming a strength and conditioning coach? Because as we all know that mostly people are focused about becoming a footballer. So, did you have the same plan, or was it already decided from the childhood that you would want to become a strength and conditioning coach?
So it all started when at the age of 20 I decided to stop playing football and enroll in the Faculty of Kinesiology in Split. In my second year of college, I first started working in one fitness center in Split. I worked individually with football players there, and at that time, I also started my coaching career in a club that competed in the third Croatian league. I spent one season there, and after that, I went to Saudi Arabia to Dama Club. I worked there first season with under 15 category, and after that, next season, I moved to first team. After that story in Dama Club, we moved to Altai, also Saudi Arabian Pro League, and that lasted for a very short moment. After which I went to Turkey to work with Croatian player Tonio Teklic. Last season he was on loan in Karagumruk, and now I'm currently in Trabzon, where I'm also taking care of the fitness preparation of the same player, who is now playing in Trabzonspor because he came back from loan.
Yeah. So, just to mention, just like you mentioned, now that you are from Croatia, but you have worked in Saudi, now you're working in Turkey. So, how difficult it is to adapt to different nations' philosophy and culture?
Well, it is not so difficult because, first of all, you need to understand their culture and respect their culture before everything. And when I was working in Saudi Arabia, at the beginning, it was a little bit hard to understand different culture, but when I get used on that and when I realized how things are working and how they think, how is their mentality, then my working philosophy just was simple. You need to adapt your working philosophy on a specific environment in which you are working.
Yeah. And since you gave me your resume, so in that it was quite broadly mentioned that you have studied from the University of Split, if I'm not wrong. So how did your
Yes.
academic background and the qualifications influence your career path?
Well, at university you get the basics because there is not so much space in certain topics to go deeper. But the one who has a goal,
Hmm.
vision, and motivation in this way must research and come to the answers himself. So that means on daily basis you need to learn, you need to try to find answers because at university you can't get all answers clearly what you are interested about.
Yeah. And talking about the key lessons from your early coaching experiences at NK Adriatic Split and NK Rivas. So, what were the key lessons from there?
Uh, so there is not some special key lessons because the level of competition was not professional at the level of the first league, and I should have taken more into account how to win players over to my side. The knowledge you have at that moment is not at the same level as the level where you are working, so you have to go down a few steps, and if you recognize that, it gives you a nice experience that was certainly important for my career.
Yeah. So, talking about the role of a strength and conditioning coach in a football club, how does it exactly work?
Well, the role of strength and conditioning coach is first of all to be an assistant to head coach. You have to respect the head coach philosophy, his goals, and only then adjust your way of working accordingly. It is very important to create a quality relationship with the players so they trust you because when the players trust you, then everything makes sense. If you don't have players trust, then
Yeah.
even your best training will be worthless. And in addition to good knowledge in the field of fitness training of football players, a good coach must also have a good social skills. So you need to be, as a good coach, you need to have a good social skills to motivate players, to reach to them with talking, and then everything other will make sense.
Yeah. And can you share some insights into the specific demands of the Saudi Pro League compared to other clubs, yeah, other leagues?
Well, there is no specific demands of Saudi Pro League compared to other leagues because right now, every season in the Saudi League, there is more and more quality players. But what differs the most is the way of life. People generally go to bed very late in Saudi Arabia, and I believe that that is a problem with football players because they do not have enough quality sleep. Um and in addition to that, you should know how to adapt to the culture, especially, for example, during Ramadan. When you take these all things into account, it's a very
Yeah.
important factor for planning the training in these environments. That is what is most important and what is the biggest difference from Saudi league than, for example, in some European leagues.
Yeah. And so, what skills do you consider essential for a successful career in strength and conditioning coaching? Because you have been part of the same for a long time now. So, what do you think are the skills essential for this career?
Uh, First of all, knowledge of the issue, which means having knowledge. After knowledge, work experience is the most important. Through work experience, you gain real knowledge because everything that looks nice and simple in theory is the opposite in practice. Also, like I said before, social
Yeah.
skills are very important, and the coach's ability to adapt to some situation at a certain moment. All these are very
Yeah.
important characteristics of a good coach.
And yeah, and how do you approach injury rehabilitation? Because it was mentioned in your skills. So, what is your approach to injury rehabilitation and return to field protocols?
Well, when defining the rehabilitation protocol and the protocol for return to field, synergy with the medical staff is very, very important. You need to follow the doctor's guidelines and accordingly combining your plan and program are the key to quality rehabilitation. I approach injured player as individual because, for example, two players can have two identical injuries at the same time, but I believe that there is no universal program for both players and that they make same exercise. So individual approach is the key in my way of working with injured players.
Yeah. And so it was also mentioned that you have done your proficiency in GPS analysis. So can you tell about the same and its impact on training load management?
Uh, well, GPS monitoring is only a small help in controlling the training load. The most important thing is in that amount of data is to understand what each number means for each player. With working experience,
Yeah.
as first glance, you can immediately recognize the conclusion for each player for a particular training session, and it can greatly help in controlling the training load and especially indicate the possible risk of injury to overtraining.
And what methodologies do you use for training monitoring and athlete performance evaluation?
Where there are many tools, but it depends from club to club. Uh, I mostly use GPS and I have created my own GPS system monitoring. Every training, the players wear GPS devices, and at the end of the training, I process the data and analyze the training from the physical side, after which the coach receives feedback if some players do not give their maximum or if there is a possibility of injury to a player for next training, then we make the decision how to reduce stress for next training for that player.
Yeah. And you mentioned that you were the means you developed and implemented the GPS system for training load monitoring at Damak Club. So how exactly did you do it, and how much was the reward for Damak out of the same?
Well, exactly. At Dama Club, I made that my own GPS program, concretely in Power BI, that helped me to easily present coach numbers by visualizations, so it is easier to understand and also automatically show me the individual every player of specific training session. By that, we could monitor every player on daily basis and check is he putting maximal effort like I said before, or on the other side, is he, for example, tired? Of course, GPS is not only thing that we were using, but it was just one of the tools that help us in reducing risk of injury.
Yeah. And just like you mentioned that you use alongside with GPS, you use Power BI, those kind of tools as well. So how important is data visualization? Because there are video analysis as well as data analytics present at the moment in the footballing world. So how important is that thing in your career, means in strength and conditioning coaching? How does it balance each other?
Well, for example, I can understand now number when I see number, but when I'm going to present that to coach, for him, normal number will be just a number. So you need to find balance how to present that number in some part of visualization so he can easily understand what you want to show him or what you want to say to him and explain to him. So, from my opinion, visualization can help you a lot in explaining that analysis to some part of your stuff.
Yeah. And just like you mentioned that there were specific challenges, there must have been specific challenges for you for doing those strength and conditioning coaching programs. So, were there any specific challenges you faced while rehabilitating players from muscle injuries at Altai FC?
Well, I can say that there was no specific challenge in rehabilitation because everything went towards the desired and successful goal, which is successful recovery from the injury. And I need to mention that we didn't have any re-injury situation, so there was not any specific challenge in
Yeah.
rehabilitation protocols in Altai
And
Club.
can you explain the importance of individual strength training programs and pre-training activation routines?
So each player is a story for himself when it comes to strength training and pre-training activation. You need to take a care and also take into account what is today on the what is today main part of training on the field. There is no universal program according to which most players will work. This means that I approach each player individual and create a program from him on a daily basis with his needs for that day. Like I say, depending on what will be in the main part of the training on the field.
Yeah. So there are several updates or trends and advancements coming in strength and conditioning coaching. So how do you stay adapt to it, or how do you stay in lane with the same?
So in my free time, which I don't have much, I try to read a lot of book and scientific articles. Also, I continue to attend conferences and educations, and I try to learn from more experienced strength and conditioning coaches from the world of the football every day, because from each of them I can learn a detail in working with football players, which I try to adapt in my own working philosophy, if it is possible, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah. And could you elaborate on your experience as an exhaust performance specialist and the skills gained from it?
Well, my opinion is that exos education is more focused on developing the athletes and not football players. Of course, this does not mean that I did not learn some principles and methodologies, but primarily I learned some guidelines for planning and programming of sprint training, changing of direction, and also plyometric training.
Yeah. And also, can you describe the software and tools you regularly use in your coaching practice?
Softwares that I used in my coaching practice is mostly connected to GPS monitoring. I used a lot of different brands from Catapult, GPX, K-Sport. Also for, let's say, strength and power training in gym, I like to use velocity-based training method. With that method, I can measure every repetition. What does that mean exactly? So I'm measuring the speed of every repetition, and
Yeah.
we know that each player
And
is not enough strong every day because of a lot of fluctuations in strength, because of maybe not good quality of sleep, not enough sleep, maybe some private situations what cause stress. And then by monitoring every repetition, you can, let's say, in some way make exactly what you want in gym and to not overtrain him.
just to proceed forward, there has been some kind of language proficiency. And what languages do you speak fluently first?
Well, of course, I speak Croatian, but also I speak English and Arabic. What helped me the most in my career was that I learned the Arabic language, and that way I showed the players in the Saudi clubs that I appreciate their culture. Also, when they communicated with each other in on Arabic, they had to be careful what they commented or what they are talking about, because I can understand most of it. So, for example, they can't comment something for trainings or something not appropriate for someone from the club, because I will understand everything.
Yeah. So just like you mentioned that the languages you speak now, but communicating with the coach requires a different skill set. You have to present the data as well as you have to communicate it effectively. So how do you do that?
Well, the coaching staff where I worked was always Croatian, so I always present it on Croatian language because that coach brought me in that two clubs, so it was not difficult because of the language. But of course, I don't have problem if tomorrow I will work with some staff that is not talking Croatian language. I present it easily on English, and there is no problem from my side about that. It's just good communication, and that you know to present easily and quality with not too much complications.
Yeah. And how do you balance the demands of coaching with personal life and professional development?
Well, it's actually very difficult. The moment I decide in my head that I want to do this job, I knew that it required a lot of sacrifice in my private life.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't even have a private life, especially if you work outside of your country, or for example, if you are too far from your country, like I was in Saudi Arabia. There were times when I didn't go home from Saudi Arabia for 6 months, but it's all a matter of how you think, and you have to be ready for it and sacrifice some things if you want to be successful.
Yeah.
Many people ask me, is it worth it? Well, I'm 28 years old, and I can say that I have made a lot of sacrifices so far. So there is no stopping, because then all the sacrifice will be in vain.
Yeah.
Uh, As for professional training, currently in my career, the only professional training is every training where can you educate your own self, because the practice is practice and theory is theory.
Yeah,
So what happened in theory, that is not what will happen 100% in practice. So in this
exactly.
moment, only every training session every day is the best professional development for me.
Yeah. And you were part of the Damak club, right? And you have been you have seen the players rise. You have maintained the under 15, so you know how the grassroots work at Saudi Arabia. So can you tell about the same? Means how is the grassroots at Saudi Arabia?
Sorry, please repeat again.
Means how is the grassroots development, the children that are coming for Saudi Arabia at the moment? Because as we have seen, Cristiano Ronaldo, Sadio Mane, Karim Benzema, these kind of players are present in the Saudi Pro League. So how is Saudi developing football in general?
Well, last 2 years, Saudi is investing in football a lot. I can say that people down there like a football really, really a lot. I can even say they are crazy for football.
Yeah,
For example, when these big clubs go to play against some smaller clubs, the stadiums are always full, full till last place.
yeah,
Uh, Also, the clubs in academy have a lot of childrens, a lot of players. So, for example, when I came to Saudi Arabia to under 15, first training we had 40 players in under 15. Now you can imagine how much they like football,
yeah,
especially now when these big players, let's say big stars, are coming into Saudi Arabia. So that
exactly.
is, let's say, goal of federation of Saudi Arabia to improve football, to improve sport in general in Saudi Arabia, and I think they are doing that very good.
Yeah. And just to mention, because we saw in the 2022 FIFA World Cup that Saudi Arabia defeated Argentina in their first group stage match. So, do you think that was the result of the development Saudi is doing currently in football?
Uh, yes, for sure, yes. They started to bring foreigner coaches in full academy.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that their coaches don't have knowledge, but football in Europe is on bigger level. You have more people in football world with more knowledge. So
Hmm.
these kind of people have a mission to educate their Saudi Arabian coaches, and with their knowledge, they help them to try to reach maximum of their players to improve their quality. So
Yeah.
the result in World Cup in 2022, that is the result of a lot of sacrifice and a lot of quality work.
Yeah. And coming on to your personal aspect, I visited your Instagram profile and you have a photo with Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the greatest, if not the greatest player to ever grace the game. So, what was the experience like meeting such a great player?
Well, the feeling in that moment I can't even explain, because at that moment I was 26 years old, and before that photo, before a few years, I was watching him on TV, and now at that moment he's coming to that city where we were training that club, and he's playing against my club. So the feeling was something so special. We Before the game, all players were so motivated, and we didn't even have to motivate them more, because
one of the
Yeah.
biggest player ever is coming to play against you. So
Yeah.
what else you need to be motivated?
Exactly.
And after game, I wanted to have a picture with him, and I was waiting for him 2 hours because he has own way of recovery protocol after every game.
Mm.
Massage, cold bath, ice, some special compression boots, what he bought only for him. So I was waiting outside of the locker room, and all players, after 15-20 minutes when game finished, go outside, and I was looking, where is him? 2 hours he stayed, and full team waited just for him to finish his recovery protocol. That's
Yeah.
everything. That is saying everything why is he still playing football and why still
Yeah.
he will play football for some years.
Yeah, exactly. The way means he adapts to the situation is something unique, of
Of
course.
course.
Yeah. And just coming back to strength and conditioning in football. So what are your thoughts on the future of strength and conditioning in football?
Well, I think that more and more emphasis will be placed on the rehabilitation of players and recovery protocols because from season to season the physical demands are increasing, and related to that, the possibility of injury is greater. There
Yeah,
is no program that will prevent injury, and the risk of
exactly.
injury can only be reduced, but injury cannot completely avoided.
Yeah,
So effective rehabilitation and quality return to field protocol is the future in this job, and let's say in generally in football. So every coach, when important player is injured, want to him to recover as soon as possible because he need him for the match to help him to win, and it's always possible to return player quickly.
exactly. Hmm.
Sometimes yes, sometimes not, but there is always but, and there will always be but.
Exactly. Exactly. And just a thought popped up in my mind. How important is diet and nutrition for a player? Because you are a strength and conditioning coaching, so of course diet and nutrition is an important aspect, is a key factor for any player. So how it is important apart from the training, of course.
It's very, very important. So I would say like this, 100% of success is divided in 70% on quality sleep, 25% to good nutrition, and just 5% on training. Because you can train a lot, train hard, train every
Hmm.
day, 2-3 hours, 2 times. But if you don't take care about this, result will not come for sure. On the
Yeah.
other side, only injury will happen.
Yeah, and such a great way you explained how diet and nutrition is an important aspect, and this will definitely go in as a reel for my channel because it was in such a way you managed to tell me. It was such great listening to this one. Now talking about another question that, um, so you have to network and build connections, as they say in any sports world. Networks and connections is very important. So what do you feel about the same? Is it the same for strength and conditioning coaching as well?
Of course, because you need to have a good connections, and without good networking and good connections, you can't make anything. Because you can have the biggest knowledge in this world, but if people don't know you, then no chance that you will make
Yeah,
that you will achieve some good result or good job. So networking
yeah,
and connections are for me the most important thing like in every job.
Yeah. Could you discuss your experience working with high-profile player like Tonio Teklic?
Well, Tonio is just an example of a young player who knows how important continuous work is.
Yeah.
This does not mean that training extra and training hard every day will
Hmm.
give you results, because of course that does not make any sense,
Yeah.
because like I told before, uh, good sleep and quality sleep and good nutrition will give you more results than some training and exercises. So
Yeah.
working with Tonio and this part of individual work, you need to take care about a lot of things, not just about exercise like when you work in the club. You need to take care about a lot of things outside of the club, outside of the training, to
Hmm.
talk with him, to motivate him every day, because I think the football is a beautiful, but also he give you a lot of stress. So you need to be a motivator. You need to know how to reach to his head. You need to know how to understand his way of thinking. And when you know that, then you can implement your training philosophy. And like I told before, working with him doesn't mean that we work every day and especially hard every day. Sometimes
Exactly.
we just come before training to fitness to make mobility or some easy pre-activation, just that he has some obligation that he can sit in the locker room and wait for the training.
Yeah.
So this is
Yeah.
really complex, but a complex type of job when you work individually with some players. But like I said, Tonio is young player who know what this type of work is bringing to him.
Exactly. And just a final long question. What are your dreams or aspirations in the future?
Well, you have to fight to reach your goals or your dreams. You
Yeah.
need to sacrifice and work hard for that. For example, just as every player had a dream that he would like to play for a big club, also every coach has a dream that he would like to work for a big club one day or work with some big player individually.
Yeah.
Uh, if you ask me, I would like to work in a big club from League 5 or in Croatian national team. But right now, in this moment, I'm just focused on work and continuous learning every day.
Exactly.
In every club where I will work or any player with I will work, my goal is just to give my best with
Yeah.
the goal of helping the head coach in the team or helping the player to achieve the best possible result, because that way I grow as a coach and gain even more experience.
Sure. So this brings us to the end of the long question answers. Now we will just start the rapid fire. There will be just 10 questions, and this is just to make you know, the temperature a bit down because it has been too stressed talking all about football. So we'll just keep it cool. So this will be 10 questions. You can answer in just one word. So shall we start?
Yeah.
What makes you fall in love with your job?
Uh, Passion for football and to working with football players.
How would you describe your job in one word?
Adrenaline.
Yeah. And your best football club in the whole world?
Barcelona.
Ah, so you are also a Barcelona fan. Same here. Who is your favorite football player in the whole world?
Messi.
Come on. So we are basically the same in terms of choices. Mine is also Barcelona and Lionel Messi. Uh, So talking about one player that you feel like in the younger generation that is coming up in the world of football, one player that you feel can achieve that greatness of Messi and Ronaldo.
Dani Olmo.
Daniel Olmo, yeah, great player, great player. Um, what are your predictions? Now, this might come as a futuristic question, but what are your predictions for the FIFA World Cup 2026? Who do you think will win it?
Oof. After this European Championship, it will be really, really interesting. I think the Spain will dominate now a lot of years in football because they have really, really good quality young players.
Yeah, exactly. And just a personal one. Are you a beach person or a mountain person?
Beach person, of course.
Yeah. So something different, yeah. So which stadium have you enjoyed the most? Which stadium have you liked the most so far?
Al Nassr Stadium.
Al Nassr. So just the final one. What do you think of the Saudi football competition? How far can they go in the next FIFA World Cup?
Uh, I think in next World Cup they can pass the group. That's my opinion.
So that brings us to the end of the episode. Thank you, Vlade. Any words that you would like to say to conclude this special episode?
Well, thank you for your invitation. It was really, really nice talking to you with,
Yeah.
let's say, amazing questions. Some of
Yeah.
them were really, really interesting. And like I said, once more, thank you for your invitation.
Yeah, so thank you, Lade. Thank you, everyone who is listening to this special episode. We'll end the episode here. It was great talking to Lade, and it was great learning from him special things about strength and conditional coaching. I learned a lot, and I'm sure that the viewers also learned a lot. So do keep following my channel and do subscribe the channel. Till then, bye bye. Here is the end of the episode. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.